Red and Blue Review. My name is Nick Philpott and I'm your host this evening, and I will introduce my very unusual panel in a second. Okay, but before we do that, if you're watching live, please hit the share button and then hit the watch party button so you can allow your friends, your family and anybody on your wall to watch us live. And once you've done this, invite them to join us too, but simply by going to the redandbluereview.co.uk, liking and sharing our page, please. You can also find us on Twitter, YouTube, Big Heads Media at any time to either watch, listen or download this and any of our other podcasts. Our whole history is on there. Our whole back catalogue is there. Or simply ask your Alexa, play the latest Red and Blue Review podcast, and up it will come. Simply go to redandbluereview.co.uk. Let's have a conversation. We are the only podcast you can watch. Right, coming up on this evening's show, we're going to be covering what I can only describe as a slightly more serious subject. And I think it's a subject in these very difficult times needs looking at, needs discussing. And we will be joined shortly by a couple of very special guests, and I'm looking forward to introducing you to them. We feel that this subject needs to be covered a little bit more deeper. Plus, of course, we will be answering loads of your questions as they come up during the course of the evening. And thank you to the many questions that I've already received. It will be good. Somebody has it on in the background. Guys, if you are, if any of the team have got it on in the background, please switch it off because we can overhear you. With the country in lockdown, we wanted to discover and talk about mental health issues. And joining us this evening, I will have Ian Lyons and Paul Price and Beulah Pickles, all to talk to us all about the walk and talk that have been going on at different from Palace to different stadiums from out the country, and they're going to be joining me shortly. As a fan base, I think it's true to say that Crystal Palace Football Club over the years have the ability to make things happen. Just cast your minds back to 2005, the walk to Lloyd's Bank, demanding something happen, and at very much the 11th hour, something happened. Just think about Jel's thing that he did last year, Cape Verde, with the children in Cape Verde getting hold of the club, and the club gave us a load of kits, and Jel and Lisa took out to Cape Verde, and how successful that was. The brilliant work done by the community of Palace for Life Foundation community, and also the current initiative by the HF. The HF are doing a clothing collection facility. Are you on there, guys? Because I can't see you, but I hope you're all there.
I'm here.
Good evening, Grant. How are you, mate?
Can you hear me, Nick? Good. Can you see me?
How are you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Yourself? How are you doing with the lockdown?
I'm actually all right. I would like, as you've asked me the question and taken me completely off script, thank you for asking me that. I'm all right because I'm still working. And a shout out to all London bus drivers, but most especially to the 5 guys that have, in the last week, 5 drivers and London Transport staff from different garages around London that have lost their lives to this horrible virus. So big shout out to their families as well. Paul and Beulah, welcome to the Red and Blue Review. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Welcome, mate. You okay? Nice to see you.
Yeah, all good.
Listen, I was just rambling on about the work that the different splinter groups within the club have, and we try to do a little bit of good. You guys do massive amounts. Holmesdale Fanatics, they're doing their stuff at the moment. Palace for Life Foundation. I've always been an advocate, and I don't know if it's anything you've ever thought about, of how good we could be as a club if all the fractions, all the splinter groups came together and harnessed the power of the Palace supporters group. What do you think?
I think that's absolutely huge. The club should be like a centerpiece of any community, and the fans can do their bit. There's so many good, decent people at the club. It's a real kind of heart on your sleeve, heart and soul, loving club. Lots of really, really good people. So why not bring those initiatives together and do something for the greater good for other fans and for people in the community around the ground as well.
Holmesdale Cravatics. Paul, Beulah, I'm just coming to you to talk to us about Walk and Talk, but talk to me about Holmesdale Cravatics and how it started up.
Oh, Holmesdale Cravatics was it was just no more than a joke. When people stopped wearing ties in London, I started wearing a cravat because my old granddad used to wear one, who happens to have been a bus driver for 41 years.
Good
He
lad.
used to wear a cravat on his bus. And I thought I'll try those. And then somebody at football saw them and said, I bet you'd never wear one of those to a game. So that was that. And then since then, I've been stuck with it.
I'm slightly disappointed, if I'm honest with you, that you haven't turned up tonight with a cravat on. If I'm
Yeah, that's two of us, Nick. Two of us.
Right, okay, I'll sort that out in the background.
Good man. And somebody said to me the other day, Nick, why don't you...
pipe.
And a what?
And a pipe.
And a pipe. Somebody said to me the other day, Nick, why don't you ever wear a bow tie when you're doing these shows? And what they didn't realise, and they spoke too soon, is literally just 5 yards over there, I've got a lovely red and blue bow tie, and it will actually look really good. But look at Lyons' face; he's gutted.
Oh my God!
Beulah.
Maybe you should do that when you host a quiz.
What? When the camera's not on?
Blue bow tie.
And a jacket, like a quiz master jacket.
But the camera's not on me, is it, you Wally? The camera's on your laptop. If you think about it, you're sharing the page.
Still got to dress up for it.
Walk and Talk is what these two are really famous for, and I mean not Z-list celebrities like me and Ian. We're talking about major A-listers. These two are the most famous people at the club. Beulah, talk to me about Walk and Talk, how it started. How do you choose the games you're walking to? And Paul, when she's finished, I've actually got a message for you from somebody up in Newcastle.
Okay.
So, well, the Walk and Talk bit, how it all started, I think that's really Paul's story, to be honest. What I do know is that he met a couple of people, and they've all been through some mental health issues in the past. Walking from ground to ground, getting opposition fans together, sharing sort of past experiences or what they're currently going through, and sort of uniting two opposition groups really was where it all sort of came from. I jumped on board just as someone who I'm interested in the whole thing anyway. In my background, I sort of take an interest in mental health, and I have a few clients that have issues themselves and stuff like that. So I wanted to jump on and see what it was about. And from there, it's sort of gone to a jumping on board, being just like a participant, all the way through to wanting to organise, wanting to help push it even further. I feel like it's just really important.
It's something that has grown from Paul. I noticed initially from you, it was just an idea in the early days, and it's gone massive. And what I think the thing that's impressed me about them more than anything else is the fact that you've involved supporters from rival clubs.
Yeah, well, I think that's really huge. Mental health doesn't care who you are. It can basically strike at any time. You might feel like you're okay, as I was one day, and then all of a sudden I started getting panic attacks and all kinds of things. So it doesn't have any colours. It's bigger than that, and it's been quite interesting as well. I don't think football fans, they get a bad name for themselves, but with what we've done, we've basically I think it's sent out a powerful message in that you can say we've got two sets of fans that in the eyes of the authorities shouldn't be getting along, but we're all coming together for the greater cause. And I think that's been huge. We had like nearly 200 people walking from Selhurst up to the Emirates last year, which is huge, absolutely massive. And it's probably a third of those would have been Arsenal fans. And it's just taken off. It's gone really huge. So a bit sad that we had a few planned for the remaining part of the season. So we have to see what happens there.
Yeah, I'm coming to that in a second. So you mentioned a number for the Arsenal one, and funnily enough, the three people involved in the show tonight: Ian Lyons, Lucy in the background, and myself. We've all done either 1, 2, or more. I spoke to you on the day, and you were saying to me, and I think we entered the third pub of the day. You thought there was between 50 and 100 people there. and I thought you'd really underestimated it. And I'm glad to hear you say it was more like 200 because that was
Well, someone actually did a count, and they said so. There was two people counted, and one said there was about 170, and someone else said there was about 200. So it may have been just that was how many were in that actual pub at that time. But I think we left Selhurst with probably about 70.
Yeah.
And as you know, they're designed so that people can jump on board as we go along. So it's inclusive. It works for all abilities, etc. So as we built and built and built, by the time we got to the Angel in Islington, that was the big number.
Absolutely. Ian Lyons, my hero. You actually did that whole walk, didn't you?
Yeah. No, I thought I seeing this, and I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. This one threw me under the bus and wrote me in on it live on the show. So there was no way I could turn it down, and I'm so pleased that I did actually go along, and I met some fantastic people. Chris Gunn, there was Jason Cadle, and what I was surprised at is what you touched on earlier. It was also people, Arsenal fans, that were meeting up at Selhurst to walk all the way there, and I was talking with one of them for pretty much the majority of the journey, and it was clearly quite a cathartic experience for him to do so, which was really, really, it really encapsulated what the talk was all, what the walk, was all about. And his brother was with him, which obviously meant a lot for him and everything else. And it was just such a fantastic, and I would highly recommend anyone watching this show who's umming and ahhing or not even considering it in a minute, when the next one is announced, I would highly recommend just jumping on because, well, for a start, we're all fans. And secondly, there's some really great people.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, at the end of the day, and I'll just echo what Ian just said there. Very simply, Ian is in the lucky position to be a damn sight fitter than I am. I'm approaching my old age with a heart complaint, okay? And I did 3/4 of that walk. I jumped on, I can't remember, I jumped on and then I met up with them. What was that pub you just mentioned, Paul, over North London?
There was the Angel.
And
that's
where I picked it up again at the Angel and did the last of the walk over there.
Yeah.
That was after your 3-course meal, wasn't
it? Yeah.
Listen, I'm aware you've got a new initiative that you've been talking about on Twitter this week. Talk to him about that.
So from there, like Paul mentioned earlier, we had walks planned for the remainder of the season. Due to obviously current circumstances, they've all been put on hold.
Yeah.
With myself personally, I don't do well at all being stuck indoors. If I've got to go off sick, I was off sick in January. The doctor signed me off for a week. I was like bedbound and I was going out of my head. Like, I've been working for about 10 years, like full on, and every job, every role, I've been out with people, out the door early, back late, long days, but I've enjoyed it. And it's that connection with people, whether it's customers or whether it's clients, whatever it is, or just my teams and stuff. That's what I've always enjoyed. So as this sort of whole situation nationally started to grow, I sat down with Paul and we just had a chat, and I said to him, I know I'm going to struggle. There's a lot of other people that are in a much harder position than I am. How are they going to cope with it? We've got no walks, there's no football, there's nothing for you to hold on to. And if they start shutting things down piece by piece by piece, how are people going to socialize? How are we going to interact? How are we going to use all of the things that we do in a week to help us cope anyway? What comes next? And then obviously, as it would have it, they shut the gyms, they shut the pubs, all of those things started to go. And then we were like, right, that's it. We've got to ramp up something. We have to do something. And it's got to incorporate what the walk is all about. So like all of that include it being all inclusive. It doesn't matter which fan base you are. It doesn't matter who you are. Let's just join, meet up a couple of times a week, video chats. Let's talk about, try to put some positivity to it. So instead of just coming on and all having a chat about how we're feeling and how much we're struggling, which of course is encouraged as well. But also, you know, coping mechanisms. What routines have we got? What exercise routines are we doing? How's our diet looking? What are we trying to do to sort of help ourselves get through this period of time? So between the two of us, we sat down and we wrote a couple of bits down, and we sort of split what we want to try to achieve into 3 categories. So all around mind, body, and soul. So incorporating things like exercise, nutrition, which is really good because that's my background, so I can talk about that all day. Talking about things like meditation, getting yourself into a good routine, how's your sleeping pattern, all of these sorts of things, which we put into these 3 categories, which we're hoping that once we get these calls and video chats up and running next week, they will be the basis of what we talk about and help people to grow. People can come into the chats, they can share their experiences, we'll share ours, and so on, and just sort of have it really open. But it's just about that coming together, because for a lot of people it's going to be a really, really tough time. For us, it will be tough. Everyone will struggle in a way, so it'll be something to look forward to, hopefully, and bring a bit of positivity.
Absolutely right. And thank you for that so much, because I'll be honest with you, look, ladies and gentlemen, you know that we've touched on mental health, men's mental health. This is not about men's mental health. This is about everybody's mental health during this difficult time. And I reached out to Paul and Beulah simply because I don't feel qualified enough to eulogise as well as they can. I mean, the top and bottom line of this, all of this, is if you are struggling with anything at all, and Ian and I have said this many times on the show over the last few weeks, pick up the phone, talk to somebody, use Samaritans, okay? I know Lucy's going to be putting up the number for Samaritans in a minute. Use Samaritans. Reach out to any of us, okay, through the page, through the group. You know that we would talk to you. If you know somebody that's struggling, pick up the phone to them. Say to them, are you okay? And when they've answered, yeah, I'm fine, ask them again. Ask them again. It's such a massive subject. Thankfully, it's not a topic I've ever had to say that I've struggled with, but I'm aware of people, and I've got good people around me tonight that have. Pick up the phone and make sure they're okay. I'm going to take a couple of minutes out here, guys, because I want to read you something. Ian, you're not aware of this, but and I have got the gentleman. There's 2 I'm going to talk to you about this evening. And these are both Palace fans. These are both people very close to me that work with me on preparation for the show on a regular basis. And they have given me permission, before I read this out, they've given me permission to read it out. And more important than that, they've given me permission to give their real names, okay? Because they want to share with you their background. And I'm going to read this one first. Graham Kitcher, good evening, mate. My friend, I hope you're well. I know us covering this subject means a lot to you tonight. So Graham wrote to me, and this is what he said. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to talk to you about the effect that COVID-19 has had on both me personally and also my mental health. As some of you may well know, as I shared my experience with Red and Blue News before, and I would like to share them with you all again. All my life, I have worked hard, and I always will. When this virus hit, I never knew how bad it would become. First of all, when football was called off, that was hard enough in itself. Then the interaction on analysing the games and talking to people about the game on the Red and Blue Review podcast was my way of keeping my mind active and engaged. And then came the devastating news. I lost my job at the same time as well, where I was working on a daily basis. Even when I finished there, I still had some work schedules to take care of. He said, I've had that all taken away from me, and I'm now struggling with depression as I've become bored and lethargic and not really been able to go out. Is extremely hard, and I don't want to, and I found it difficult to interact with people due to the depression. But just sitting here on my own makes it even more of a struggle. You know yourself, you're questioning whether you would actually be missed if I wasn't here. And sorry, I'm struggling with this. Okay, I know it won't go on forever, but each day of those suffer with mental health is a real struggle for me at the moment. And this is one of the guys from the club. Paul, that could have been you. Ian, that could have been you. People I interact with all the time at Sellers Park, and he's had that taken away from him. And I need to make sure that he knows that forget Holmesdale Fanatics, forget Red and Blue Review. we are a family.
Mm.
We are a family. What would you say to those sort of things, Paul? Graham so kindly shared with us.
Well, first of all, well done, Graham, for actually saying that. A big part of the whole condition is actually coming to terms with that and being brave enough to almost have a look inward at yourself and say, I'm struggling, and this is why. It's also good, believe it or not, that you've realised what the reason is for it. So, you know, being isolated, being indoors, dropping certain things. I would say, and it's not an easy thing to do, but from my own experience, it's always been about finding little positives. Just could be anything. The fact that it was a beautiful day today, that's a positive. The fact that if you look out in the garden, I don't know, the flowers are out. It's just little positives. It's about the fact that you spoke to you spoke to your mum or you spoke to your friend. It's another positive. It's about building up a framework of all those little building blocks throughout the day, just to get you to a point where you actually feel like you've fulfilled something and you've had that day has had a purpose, if you like. I think the main thing I would say to Graham as well, and you know, we don't profess to be experts in it, we're just people that have had experience. The main thing is just don't ever think that it's only you. People do care, and people, you know, there are people in the world that will probably think everything, you know, think the world of you. So don't ever, you know, devalue yourself at all, and try hard to get up and put a bit of a framework around what it is you're going to do, what you want to do that day, what you want to achieve. They could be little things, but it's all about building up those positives. And I think if you do that, you'll be in a lot better place. It's really hard, and I think the main thing is get started with that soon as well, because if you don't, it's quite easy to perhaps spiral a little. So just, I don't know, maybe once this show's over, write down a few things that you could do tomorrow that will give you something positive. You know, perhaps go out for that walk. You're in your 30 minutes you're allowed. Perhaps, you know, ring a relative or a friend or something like that. Have a catch up. It could be, I don't know, have a drink of your favourite drink, or it's little things like that. And that they all sound minor, but it's about bringing all of those things together and giving yourself something at the end of the day you can say, do you know what, that wasn't a bad day.
Thank you, mate. And he knows. In fact, both the guys that we're going to be talking about, they're both Palace fans. They're both connected with Red and Blue Review in the background. Okay, they both know that they could pick up the phone to me at any time, and we can do just that. I mean, I know where he lives. He's only an hour away, and he knows if he needs me to. Solid isolation. If things get that bad, I'll jump in and I'll go down and talk to him. Ian, I was coming to you anyway. I don't know if you saw Mr. Kenny's words on a minute ago. I mean, people actually think it's an amusing subject. It's a funny subject. Let's take the piss, okay? You know it's a serious subject. I know it's a serious subject. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's you know, it's as been mentioned on here, and it happened probably a couple of days after the walk to Arsenal. That my best friend for 30 odd years committed suicide, and I had no idea he was feeling the way he was, and obviously things got a little too much for him. What I would say is that, you know, Paul was spot on with. Clearly, people not necessarily getting overwhelmed. Not having had any experience of it myself, it's a bit hard for me to put myself in people's shoes. But clearly, there's a feeling of being overwhelmed by everything. And what Paul was essentially saying was try and compartmentalize things, break them down into small, achievable chunks, and then if you just pick those off bit by bit, then you've got that sense of achievement. But also clearly, you know, there is professional support out there, such as the Samaritans, etc. Please make use of those if you feel as though, you know, you need to talk to someone. I mean, I speak to Nick on a daily basis, and to be perfectly honest, I'd sooner ring the Samaritans, but purely because you know, they will be able to help. I mean, we are by no means experts in this,
Correct.
but he's right in what he says is that if anyone, and this includes my friends or people that don't even know me, if anyone that wants to talk, then, you know, we're there to listen, as I'm sure Paul and Beulah would be as well. But there are obviously professional services out there that you can also make contact with. So please do that if you feel as though that's a route you want to go down.
Thank you, mate. And
Sorry,
go for
Nick,
it, Paul.
just a quick one on that. I've always really a lot of people that suffer with this stuff. They don't want to speak sometimes, possibly even to a friend. That might be just because they feel a bit embarrassed. It's about dropping that stigma, but also like loved ones, family. People don't always feel that it's easy to be able to talk to those people because they don't want to, but believe it or not, they don't want to burden them. So
Yeah.
what Ian was saying with regards to speaking to someone like Samaritans or something like that. Samaritans isn't there if just if you're, you know, you're in a really, really bad way. They're there for I'm going to say lesser things, but I don't mean it in such a way. You know, everyone's a lesser thing to somebody could be huge, but they're good. You know, it's a great outlet. And the other thing with it as well is there's a hell of a lot of power in speaking to somebody that you're not directly associated with. In that they're a stranger, there's no way that person can judge you or anything else like that. They just want to help. They just want you to basically engage. So I'm reading the stuff on the screen as it's coming up as well.
And that's who the message is from, by the way.
The problem is I haven't got my glasses as well, so I can't see a great deal anyway. But yeah, you know, there's a lot of power in speaking to somebody you're not directly associated with, and these people are there. They're professionals. They know the right things to say. They know the right advice to give. But the bottom line is that there's loads of help out there from friends, family, all sorts of people, and these professional organisations. So you know, don't ever feel like you're completely on your own. Really don't.
Good stuff. I'm going to give you one more in a minute. And by the way, it was remiss of me at the top of the show, everybody, to say good evening and welcome to you wherever you're watching in the world. And I know Tim Richards, you're on there from Christchurch, New Zealand. Love to you and Wendy. Thank you for your kind words that have just been displayed on the screen. It was my pleasure to meet you and your gorgeous wife. I hope you're well, buddy. And I know you've also had some problems as well. And you know that I'm on the end of a phone if you need me. And that's what this show's all about. You know, we didn't know what to do. I need to address these subjects, or we need to address these subjects as Red and Blue Review. But I want you to realise, encapsulate it all. We're a family. We're a Palace family. If I don't know you, you know one of my team, or you know Paul, or you know Beulah, you know somebody in the Fanatics. It doesn't matter. Okay, we are one. We've got one common goal here. Okay, and that's Crystal Palace Football Club. Graham, I know you're watching the show, mate. I can see your message on the screen. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow, mate. On that subject, I'm going to move on to the next one, if you don't mind. Again, this is another gentleman that has taken the time out to write to me. He's given me his permission to read this out, and he's given me his authority to use his name. Andrew Adams, who is one of my, what we call questions crew in the background. He's prolific on our page, and this is what he wrote. And he says, I quote, "This needs to be told. My mum tried topping herself twice after my father died. I thought of her as a strong person in the family, but when that happens, you start to question yourself more. What could I have done?" So she asked them if they're okay, and asked them again is sound advice that we got from the Red and Blue Review. Well done, and I hope it makes people look at themselves. I went to her mental health sessions, and it was a real eye-opener on the good work that these people do. It's all about what made them do it, and it can be a trigger of going back to when they were younger. I think we should raise it in the Red and Blue Review. I asked him if he thinks I should discuss this tonight, and he said, I think we should raise it on the Red and Blue Review. Yes, we're not qualified, but we are all aware just to keep an eye on our friends and family, especially during this difficult time. Just the call, just the message could take someone out of depression, even if it's only for a short period of time. We can't bury mental illness under the carpet. We all have triggers, and don't know when it will come out. But talking about it, seeking help, will be the first good step. Andrew, you're really brave. Beulah, any thoughts on what Andrew said?
Well, there's a couple of things that I've been thinking about during this bit of chat that we've had, and the thing is, what is mental health? Because there's good mental health and there's bad mental health. There's positive, there's a strong mental health where you can get through a lot of things, or a lot of things can go into your stress pot and you can deal with them in a productive or proactive way. And then there's, I don't know what the right word to use is, but sort of mental health where mental illness starts to come into play, and then people start to struggle, and that's where depression, anxiety, and all sorts of other pieces come in. So this period of time, I know for me, I need to be outdoors. I need to be interacting with people on a daily basis. That's my job. That's what I do for work. I know that one of my triggers is being stuck inside four walls, feeling useless. So I feel like when I'm at work and I'm working and everything's okay and it's normal, I have good mental health. But then at a time like now, this is where my mental health will start to shift. And it's just about me putting in the right things in place to sort of manage that the best way I can, which is where all that coping mechanisms and all that stuff was coming up earlier. One thing that me and Paul spoke about was that stress pot. And everyone's got one. And everyone's stress pot's a little bit different. And it's just about managing that stress pot and understanding, why are certain things inside it, what's causing those triggers, talking to people about it. There's one thing that my mum used to say to me when I was younger, and it's always carried through to with my relationship with her, and that's a problem shared is a problem halved. And it doesn't matter who you say that to, whatever it is that's upstairs in your head, doesn't matter who you talk to about it, getting it off your chest. Everyone knows. Everyone's been through something where they've blurted it out to whoever, and straight away they're like, oh, that's so much better. I feel better for talking about it. And that's all it is. It's just coming together, trying to deal with, talk about different coping mechanisms and sort of helping to keep that stress pot as low as possible during this really tough time.
So this new initiative of yours, Paul, if people want to get involved, is there anything have you got any pointers where they can get a hold of you guys in case they want to get involved in it at all?
It was actually just to be clear, it was actually Beulah's initiative. This one, just because it came off the back of the walks, and I know that Beulah, as she's mentioned, was struggling. But I think the main thing is we're both on Twitter. So mine's the HC15 on tour Twitter account. Beulah's is just Beulah Pickles. Oh, Beulah 12, sorry. And the other thing is I'm sure if anyone wants to get involved, they can come via Red and Blue Review as well. So I know you've got a presence on here, and you've also got your presence on Twitter as well. So what it's going to be, the format of it really is we're going to do like a bit of a pilot on Monday. Yes, there's tomorrow actually. They'll blend in together at the moment, aren't they? A bit of a pilot tomorrow just to sort of check out the technology. That's a slightly smaller group, and then launch on Wednesday. So, and it's not like a help group. It's like we're trying to do it a bit more. I think Beulah will agree. It's almost like more of a online community group. So you're not coming on there and sort of saying, oh, I'm Paul, I've done this and I've done. Not necessarily all about that. It's about something to look forward to, somewhere to reach out to, somewhere where you can find people with common interests. We don't know the circumstances of everyone. Some people might be stuck on their own. And then the Friday night one, we were going to try and make it a little bit more fun, perhaps do it as a quiz, just as an example, or something like that as well.
And we've just been asked in the chat, will we share your details on the Red and Blue Review page? Of course we will. It'll be on our website as well. Listen, guys, just to let you know, normally at this stage, okay, we're going to draw a line under that subject for now, but we've actually got a whole load of questions as well. Are you happy to talk Happy Stuff and Palace?
Yeah. I forgot about them.
Okay, well, I'm going to kick off before we actually sort of move on. Ian, I am coming to you in a minute. Okay, I have a message for Mr. Price from our northeastern friends. These are the Northeast Exiles. And,
I know, yeah.
You know that lot. Okay, so he's asking. Yeah. He said, "Please ask Mr. Price when is he doing a walk to SJP, St James's Park? The North East Exiles will join him for the last 10 miles.
Well, I'm self-employed, so that's the big issue. But I'd actually love to do that. It's a real sad one actually. But just before the football season closed, a friend of mine who I met from away days, he took his own life in Sunderland. So maybe there's something we could do with regards to St James's Park and Newcastle. Again, I know that's completely unheard of, but yeah, St James's Park and Sunderland. Sorry, but maybe there's something we can do up there. But yeah, I'd love to do something like that. It's just a bit of a long way with my the amount of annual leave. Yeah, the amount of annual leave.
The one thing you two have proved with this, the great work that you're doing is it's giving us everybody the power of closing that gap between the clubs. Okay, bridging those gaps. If anybody could pull that off between Sunderland and Newcastle United, it's you two sitting on that sofa, right? I've got loads of questions. I mean, people have been writing to me all day, okay? And I'm going to have to aim this one at you, Lions, okay? Because I can't answer it myself because I'm still working. The question also from our Northeastern correspondent, okay, is asking the question, how are the Red and Blue review team dealing with lockdown? Now, Ian, I know you are off work and you were working from home. How are you dealing with the pressure of the lockdown?
I'm probably quite fortunate in that I'm the eternal optimist and that I'm always looking for opportunities and everything else. So yeah, I'm working from home. It's not a problem for me. I can just ignore people, as you will testify, and I'm really good at it. And I'm quite a solitary animal. So, but I'm also quite fortunate enough. I've got this place I can just disappear into if I just need to get away from anything. But what I will say is that with weather like today, it's a godsend having a garden. And for those that are stuck in flats and everything else, I can imagine it's probably not a great time to be stuck indoors. So clearly, as you know, Nick, and as people will know, we've been working a lot anyway on other stuff. But it's just about keeping yourself occupied. Just about keeping yourself occupied, and because what is it? Idle hands make the devil's work, or something. Is that the phrase?
Light work.
Yeah. Okay. So the essence being is that if you're just sitting around doing nothing, then that's when things can start maybe getting on top of you. But I've got more that, listen, Alison, my other half's watching this in a minute, and I've no doubt that there is a list. She's writing down, that needs doing, that needs doing, that needs doing, that needs doing. So there'll always be something for me to do, mate.
Paul, what are you doing with your time in lockdown?
Mainly, it's a bit of a weird one. I work from home anyway, so in some respects, it's not caused a major difference in my working practice. Where it's an odd one. Sometimes I would work from home and I wouldn't necessarily go out, but now I'm finding it more difficult because I'm not allowed to go out, if you like.
Yeah.
It's the not allowed bit that's causing me more, but it's more a case of trying to go for walks, spend a little bit of time in the park, but not ages, keep my distance from people and all of that kind of thing. The other main thing I'm doing as well is for about an hour every morning, and I'm terrible for not taking time out from work, but I've been forcing myself to take some time out and been doing some exercise in the
Sorry, what did we do? What's that word you used?
Yeah, exercise. Yeah,
does not compute. No idea what you're talking about.
No.
Perhaps you could explain.
So yeah, so I've been doing exercise as well in the back garden. So that's what I've been. That's pretty much what I've been doing with Beulah as well.
Thank you. And also a quick shout out. I know Teresa's watching the show. Teresa, our hero, one of our NHS wonderful people. Every single member of the NHS that is watching this show, wherever you are watching it in the world, we thank you. All the key workers out there, okay, you're superstars. And for the rest of you, stay at bloody home. You are killing people. You could end up with blood on your hands. I nearly swore. Stay at home. Stay at home. Lee Lockwood asks, listen to all of you. Okay, so any of you can jump in and answer this. We're talking Palace here. Okay, who is of the opinion that the Premier League teams that have been furloughed should be punished with either a 12-month transfer ban or to sell players equating to the sum that they have sponged off the government? It's a mockery that teams like Liverpool can record £43 million worth of profits in the last tax year, but still go with a begging bowl. Ian, kicking off with you.
I can't say that I disagree. I mean, these are clubs that more often than not are actually making profits. It's not as if they're not making profits. Obviously, there are a few that are bouncing very close to liquidity or not, but certainly people like Tottenham, people like Liverpool, who are turning in annual profits. Yeah, I think it's taken for Michael, to be perfectly honest. And if I understand that the players seem to have been painted into a corner by different factions.
Yeah.
But someone needs to break this. So I think actually Gary Lineker came out with something half sensible, saying, look, don't just look at players and clubs, look at all the wealthy people and see what they should be doing, such as Branson, all these people that have made their billions off of the back of the workers, all these clubs that have made millions off the back of the likes of us. Why they should then expect to be helped out until, whilst they're showing a profit, I don't know.
It's funny, you raise a good point, because on here I've actually got the PFA statement from yesterday where they basically pulled the pin out of the hand grenade and it wasn't helpful, some of the stuff that they come up with. But you're absolutely right. The players have been made a scapegoat here because they're earning multi-millions, and rightly so. But hang on a minute, there is loads of people within British industry that have creamed off the top of the milk for years and years and years. Yeah, time for a little bit of payback. Let's help. If we're not talking about the lower leagues in football, we're talking about those less fortunate than you and I.
Without getting too political about it, look at the banks. I mean, it's the taxpayer that helped the banks out.
Exactly.
So isn't it about time that the banks actually help the taxpayers out? Well, it's a bit crazy. And that's coming from someone who's a shareholder.
Right, we're going to wrap this up in a couple of minutes, guys. But before we do, I need to tell you all that are watching out there, thank you again for watching wherever you are. There is something that's happening tomorrow with regards to a celebration. Okay, time to lift your spirits a little bit, time to lift the show a little bit. Are you all aware that tomorrow is the 100th day? It's been all over Twitter all week. The 100th day that Brighton and Hove Albion scum, okay, since they last won a game. And they are still the only team within the Football League that has still not won a game in 2020. So, for those that you don't know, I'm actually in yet another Facebook group. That Facebook group is called Palace Brighton Binfest. Now, this is the most biased, one-sided banter group that you could ever make. It's actually quite a decent place, but it's run by mainly Brighton fans. I think out of 8 admins, there's only 2 Palace fans. We purposely, as the build up to the 100th day materialised, me and a few others have been inviting more and more Palace fans onto the page. All of these Palace fans, including Grant Saunders, have either been post approved, okay, so they have to have every post approved, because every day this week we've gone from 92, 93, 94, 95, all the way up to today 99, and they've stopped approving our posts. Okay, so the reason I'm telling you this is, if you're not on the Brighton Palace Binfest page, I have organised, okay, separately from the page, a separate messenger group. Okay, it's called the 100 Club. Okay, 100 days, the 100 Club. And in that 100 Club, there's dozens and dozens of Palace fans that I've known or know of other members within the 100 Club. And we are gate crashing Brighton Palace Binfest live at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Well, we are going onto that page, okay, and I plan to do a live, not through our software here, but just do a live on their page, and we are all jumping on. And once we all jump on and we take the piss out of them for 15 minutes or so about their muggy little club down on the south coast, to a man, each and every one of us are going to leave the group, are actually going to come away from the group and shut off the group. Then they can have a Palace Brighton bin fest, okay, with just Brighton fans in there. And so effectively, we're going to close that group tomorrow night after we've celebrated their 100 days. So if you're not on the Palace Brighton bin fest, come and join us. Let's have a giggle at their expense again. Did I go?
Do you know what? Is it too premature to let everyone know that we're doing a second quiz on Wednesday?
Oh, okay. Well, you take the scripts away. Don't worry about it. No. You carry on. You bastard.
Okay, well, I'll leave it. If you've got
go
one.
on. I'm joking. Go on.
Well, yeah, no, I was going to say maybe I've got this one question you've still got to put in it. Maybe I can put how many days has it been since Brighton last won?
It'll be 102 by then, wouldn't it? Listen,
Wow.
okay. Well, now you mentioned it, let's cover off the quiz, okay? Again, for people's sanity, for people's mental health, we decided as a group, okay, that we would actually go with a quiz. I didn't know how good or bad it would be. I didn't know whether it would be an absolute car crash.
I think what you meant to say is we decided Ian would do all the work.
Okay, if you shut up, I'm about to blow smoke up your backside, okay? But you need to shut up to allow me to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, what you don't know in the background, Nigel Croucher, Ian Lyons, Tom Clark Samuel in the background have been working tirelessly. All I did was what I always do. I'm the gob of the page, okay? I'm the mouthpiece of the page, and I just presented the fantastic effort that Ian put together, and I now know Ian and his team have put together.
Well, I was just about to say, those two in particular have been an absolute godsend. So we've got enough material for at least another two already, so it's good.
Okay, so because of that and because of how well it was received and your wonderful comments out there in the group, on the page and everything else, we will be doing another one live on, and I didn't want it to
Wednesday.
be about, hang on a minute, I didn't want it to be about frigging Nick Philpott all the time. So what I've suggested, and the guys have taken up on it, the team in the background, they're going to actually host it, and I can take a step back. Ian's going to do the work. Lucy's going to host one. Ian's going to host one, and I know the famous Jel Holyoke is going to host this Wednesdays. Am I right, Ian?
Yeah.
Okay, and honestly, on my behalf, thank you so much for all your efforts in the background. You've done a cracking job, mate. I'm super proud of what you've achieved.
Listen, who knew Jel could read?
Well, we don't yet.
Well, we do because we've been practicing all day.
Well, you've been showing him those big words like and the.
Well, listen, we've been practicing all day. He's putting the effort in. He's going to be superb on Wednesday.
See, now you set him up for a fall now. You say, right, last question of the evening, and I'm going to aim this at Paul and Beulah. Again, it's Andrew Adams that's written. Season tickets is the subject. What options would the fans like the club to offer, considering people have lost their jobs, furloughed, and don't have the money? Will the English Premier League attendance drop and the TV subscriptions taken over? How would they like the lost games, assuming those games won't be recouped? How would you like to see Palace recoup the price of the season tickets for next year, or this year even?
How would I like to see them recoup it? Did you say? Sorry,
they've got to make up for a shortfall on the games that we've seen for the price of the season.
Yeah. Well, I'm sort of, I don't know. It's a bit of a funny one, really. At the moment, I'm just seeing what happens. To be honest, I haven't really thought much about it. I was one of those that I think I bought 4 lots of away tickets just before all of this happened as well. So I got Liverpool, Leicester, Bournemouth, and some other ones as well, I think. But I just think at the moment it's just a case of seeing what the authorities say with regards to how they plan to pan out the rest of the season. Perhaps I don't know. Perhaps I'm a bit head in the sand about it, but I don't know. I just think that it's one of those things. If there's nothing announced within a month, I think they probably need to decide what they're going to do with regards to people's monies, etc.
Beulah, I'm glad you just mentioned that, Beulah, because I was going to ask you, we've discussed this in great length on the show over the last few weeks. What do you think is going to happen towards the end of the season? Do you think the season will get curtailed? Do you think they'll go play it behind like closed doors? What do you think is going to happen?
I think personally, closed doors would be a disaster. You're going to royally upset so many people, and I also think it's wrong. There's what is football without the fans, and especially down at Selhurst Park. So do it behind closed doors, you lose a whole load of what that day is for so many people, and the atmosphere that it brings and all that sort of stuff. So that's my opinion on behind closed doors. Don't do it at all if that's the case. I think personally, they're closing. See, we were talking about this the other day, me and Paul, and what we were saying was, if you delayed this season for X amount of time, you've also got to bear in mind that next season will start later, but then the Euros are rescheduled for 2021. So you need to make sure that there's enough time between next season finishing and then the Euro starting for players to sort of revitalise themselves and re-energise themselves and get themselves ready for the Euro competition. So it's about managing, when does this season continue and then next season start? Personal opinion, it's going to be really tough on some teams. Teams like West Brom, Leeds, Liverpool. Not that I really care too much about Liverpool, but
you can come on here again. I like you.
I personally think if you can't, if looking at a calendar, if we can't find a way to make sure that there's enough time for one season to finish, another one to start, and then putting the Euros into place, the season should just be null and void, and we should just start again in the 2021 season.
It's the right answer. It's the perfect answer.
Oh, right, there we go.
Why the hell could you say that? He's going to say to you any second now, the only thing he didn't want to hear you say is what I said 2 weeks ago, and you've just done it. So well done, Beulah. You're welcome on this show any day of the week.
The only shame in all of that is, for me, is I couldn't care less about Liverpool, and that's quite funny, to be honest with you. Sorry, I shouldn't say that.
No.
But Leeds, West Brom, you've got to feel sorry for those teams. But I don't know. I just feel like it's such a shame. We've just talked about that 100 club team, whoever they are.
Yeah.
They're hanging on by the skin of their teeth, and so are Watford, and so are West Ham. I don't know.
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth. There's a whole load of down there, and I just feel like they've escaped.
What would be better? Listen, don't skip me started on this again. End the show.
I agree with that side, but I just think if we can't make it work in the calendar, null and void the whole thing, and then across the board, everyone will suffer in some way. You've got Sheffield that are up there that are playing really well. We're not doing too bad, considering some of the complaints that you see on social media from time to time, but we've not had a bad season. Liverpool won't get the league, which every other fan apart from a Liverpool fan in the country will be happy about. It is going to be tough to see clubs like Brighton and West Ham scraping it, but I think
there's too much money involved.
So there is too much money involved.
Yeah.
Beulah, you do realise he's going to accuse you, okay, that I sent you the script and you've just read it out word for word. You're my hero.
I would not do that at all, Nick.
I think there's a perfect place to end the show. Paul Price, Beulah Pickles, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You've been superstars.
Thanks,
I hope our few words that we said tonight really pushes the message out, and that the Red and Blue Review have got your back, and we will support you every step of what you do over the next few months.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Awesome. Take care.
Ian, as always, mate, thank you so much. Before we sign off, what we got coming up this week? Well, we've already done that. So we've already done the quiz. So please get in touch if you fancy sponsoring us, sponsoring an odd show, sponsoring us for a season. Massive thank yous for their continued support. John Lyons, superstar. Graham Kitcher, we love. I'm coming to you in a minute. Kevin Lyons, Tom Clark Samuel, Nigel Croucher. Fantastic help with the quizzes. It's your support that gets this show out on a weekly basis as we plan for the future. If anybody else wants to join our growing numbers, get in touch. Listen, Ian and I made it quite clear at the beginning, top of this show, that we are inexperienced in this field, but we wanted to get the support out for Paul and Beulah and this subject of mental health. Do not suffer in silence. We as a team are here. They are there. Samaritans there. Final words from you, Mr. Lyons.
I completely concur with that. And thanks to Paul and Beulah for coming on. They do some fantastic work, and long may it continue. But regarding the quiz, please remember it is going to be on the Red and Blue Review page. So if you're not already liking our Red and Blue Review page, jump over on it now, and then you'll get an automatic notification when we go live.
Like it and turn on that notification. There was something else I was going to say before I wrapped up. I can't remember what it was. I think we'll leave it there. No, hang on a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay indoors. You're risking lives. Please don't risk the bus drivers' lives any further. Okay, don't get on the buses. We don't want you on there unless your journey is essential or you are a key worker. Then you are welcome with my love. Please stay safe. Wash your hands. Look after each other and look after your mental health. My name's been Nick Philpott. That's been Ian Lyons. On behalf of us both, good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night, guys.